Can't stop this train.
Can't stop the feeling.
Hey, everybody. Special show today because it's Tom Grossi's birthday. Yeah, we got the sweet sounds of the Grossi posse coming in to tell this man happy 32nd day of birth.
That's right, baby. Yeah. On this day 32 years ago, came out, was like, probably crying a lot. Also had a big head.
Dang, that must have hurt your mom.
Probably. My bad, Mom. Oh, baby! We here.
We steer.
You in the right direction? Again, is that... Yeah, we got him! We got him!
Come and try and take our corn away, Russ. Can't do it.
Can't do it.
Can't do it.
You can't do it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Grossi Perna Show. Tom Grossi, Brandon Perna, Kurt Benkert, because it's Friday, and you know what time it is. It's time for a little GPS. That's right, baby. That's the air coming out of your tires because your ex is outside and has put a hole in them. So that's why you need us to navigate you. Folks, we got a lot to break down today. We had a Thursday night football matchup in which you had a battle between three amazing quarterbacks. You had Patrick Mahomes, you had Justin Herbert, and you had Chase Daniel coming in. Oh, man, he really just stole the show with that. Also, Travis Kelce learned what it was like to be a WWE superstar last night after getting spine busted. We're going to talk about all that. We're going to preview some week 2 games. We're going to talk to the Mr. One and Only Kurt Benkert about a little recent workout with the San Francisco 49ers because he just wants to hurt me in ways that I can't even fathom. And we're going to break down a whole lot of things. But gents, how we doing?
Fantastic.
Kurt, I love the ambiance that's going on right now. You're just like, I matched the shirt with the background. It's just like, you just put on some lo-fi beats and just vibe with Kurt Benkert.
I just want to vibe all the time. Because if I'm not vibing, we have bigger problems.
We got big issues.
I added a plant this week. I
was just going to ask, do you have to water that thing? Is that a real plant?
You could water it. Will it suck it up? Maybe. Maybe not. I will say, one time my wife left out of town and I had to water all of her plants. She's a big plant lady. Sometimes I call myself plant daddy, but anyways, besides the point. And I watered every plant in the house, and I didn't know that 5 of the 30-something plants were fake. And so I watered the shit out of these fake plants for a week. But yeah, that's my plant story. Plant daddy, new merch coming soon.
Plant daddy. That honestly, that's a great. I'm actually upset I didn't come up with that because that's a great vegan name. Like it's just plant daddy. You know what?
Chronicles of Plant Daddy.
Chronicles of Plant Daddy. Let's go. COPD.
You got Plant Daddy in chat. I love it.
I love it. Oh, sorry. All right, folks. Let's dive right into it and talk about last night's game between the LA Chargers and the Kansas City Chiefs, a game that Brandon Perna was hoping both teams lost, if that was possible.
I was hoping they had to stop the game at halftime because all the players had diarrhea. And the diarrhea was going to last for 4 months. And they had to forfeit the whole season.
You know,
but it didn't happen.
Diarrhea is the one thing that could get you out of anything. Nobody's going to question it. Like,
that is true.
Show up late to work, like, diarrhea. Like, couldn't go to class, diarrhea. Don't want to go out with the friends, diarrhea. Just, nobody's going to question it, and it's not like he's probably not making that up.
Yeah,
as long as the illness is embarrassing, you can always use it as an excuse.
Yes, like, I am peeing out my ass right now. I'm not able to come to work. And they're like, sir, you didn't have to say that. And you're like, I wanted you to know.
My hemorrhoids are so inflamed that I literally cannot sit down. So
he's like, well, good thing we just got this new standing desk in the office. We'll see you in 20 minutes.
no.
So last night was a close game, and it was a lot of fun. The Chargers did the Charger thing. They allowed 17 unanswered points. But of course, the big story coming in today is Justin Herbert being injured. They said that he was okay, but they're going to know more today. I mean, there's a couple things I want to talk about. And Kurt, I definitely want to get your opinion on this. Like immediately, like he could have ran for a first down and he was like, I got to chuck that ball away. Wincing every single time he was chucking the ball, an obvious rib injury. Kind of going through and watching that. I mean, what are the thoughts running through your head as a QB? You know, I'm sure you've played injured before. Mm-hmm. You know, like how much more difficult does that even get to already do an impossible job?
Yeah, and it was his left rib, right? So like that's his exposed side when he's throwing, and that just like that's not a path you want to go down, especially week 2. I will say like it's easier to finish a game with an injury that you sustained during the game than to like start a new week with an injury.
Yeah.
So like I don't know. I mean, obviously they got a little extra time off because they played on Thursday, so we'll see what the diagnosis is, but that's a left rib injury. Like, good luck stepping into throws with conviction and like not falling off your back foot to fade away from hits. And I've had one of those with my left shoulder, and it really affected how I played. And I can imagine left rib when you're opening up is not a fun one.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you because I saw you tweet back at Drew Brees.
Oh my god.
Was it Quinn Ewers who got hurt?
Yes.
That Brees was like,
blasted.
Go in the locker room, take a shot, get back out there and fight through it.
Yeah. That's just like, it's so stupid. Like, if it's the Super Bowl, like, yeah. If it's like, but dude, like, it's what it was week 2 of college football.
Yeah,
like,
for a college player, not an NFL
and
player.
He's young, right? Like he's a rookie, freshman.
Yeah,
like
I mean, technically he's making money, right? Because
he's
got the
money.
NIL deals, but
still, like he can still post on Instagram and make his money. Like he's got to fix that shoulder up. Like I've went through that my junior year. I had a AC separation grade 3, and like I still have like that ugly bump there. And I shot it up and played through it, and I shot it up every single game. And it's like, why did I do that? Like I thought it was my track to the NFL, and it was going to be what like made me make it, until I had to answer for inconsistencies and accuracy to NFL scouts. Like, yo, like you started off the season hot. Like, what happened? Well, didn't really have a left side to like use while throwing, and I'm fading off of throws, and like they're like, you weren't the same player. What happened? And having to answer to that versus like, oh no, he got hurt. Like, it's got to heal it up.
Well, I mean, because you've seen this before. I mean, like Baker Mayfield, right, is like one of like the perfect examples of that, in which he was hurt all of last season and his play significantly declined because of it. You know, so is it kind of, I mean, obviously you have the 2020 now, but looking back, is it, hey, like maybe I should have just taken like, hey, I'm injured, just because does that look better than trying to play through it? Because I feel like there's this perception that, oh, you're gritty, you're gutsy if you're going out there. Like that's what NFL teams want to see. You know, in your experience, like which one is better?
They want to see a good player. And so if you can play through an injury and it not really affect your play, do it. If it's affecting your play, shut it down immediately. Like it is the worst thing that you could do is put bad film on tape. And that sticks with you forever. So like nobody cares if you have an ankle injury, none of this, that. They don't see that on film. They see shitty throws, they see bad decisions, they see hesitancy, and like if you can't be like decisive as a quarterback and just let it go because of an injury, like that's your cue to like, hey, let me go heal this thing up. And you'd rather be out of the limelight and people forget about you for a little bit than in the limelight for the wrong reasons.
Interesting.
Yeah, Trevor Siemian played through the same injury. Was it 2016 with the Broncos? It was his non-throwing shoulder, but I think it was a grade 3 AC joint injury. And like he would look so good and then suddenly not so good. And everybody's like, what happened? And then after the season, we learned he had that injury. Yeah. Unfortunately, he played just as good with like an injured AC joint as he did like when he came back after that. But I think, was it, oh man, the Brandon Marshall's podcast, the I Am Athlete, they were talking about Jimmy Garoppolo and Jacoby Brissett. And I think Jimmy had AC joint also, and they were giving him shit for not playing through it when he was in New England. And then he actually did play through it last year, with the 49ers when he was hurt, and he played really well. So I think it's just like for quarterbacks too, there's pressure from your teammates to go out there and play through injuries if you're the best option they think they have to win games, right?
Yeah,
And
that's where I was in college. We didn't really the backup was a freshman. He wasn't ready to play. We had another guy that had transferred out. Like there was nobody. So like me playing with one arm was better than the alternative at that point in time. And it's like we still were losing games. So was it worth me playing to give us a shot, or just should we get blown out? But then you transfer that to the NFL and there's a lot more at stake. NFL coaches' jobs are at stake. Do you think they care about a little bit of pain or whatever? It may affect your performance, but if you're out there as the guy and you're not playing well, then that's not really the coach's problem as much as not having a backup that can service you, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because for example, Jay Cutler, in the during that NFC Championship game, how much crap did he get for getting hurt and going I'm out, that's it, I'm not coming back in? And he got crap from the fans, he got crap from the teams, and I mean that's still kind of goes on of oh, Cutler quit and all that great stuff. And it's really interesting to hear your perspective by saying hey, listen, if I put this bad tape, unless you're an elite player, I would say if Aaron Rodgers goes out there and he doesn't make some great throws because he's injured or whatever, you're it's okay, he's still Aaron Rodgers, right? But if you're a guy who's emerging or is newer, that tape could wind up haunting you down the line.
Well, and I mean, that happened in the game last night. Herbert didn't run for that, first down, and everyone's get him out of there. What are you doing? And then 1 or 2 plays later, he just fires a friggin' dart across, through the middle of the field. Just an amazing pass. And oh, okay, he's fine.
Yeah. And I think the injuries have more to do with consistency, because it was probably pretty painful for him to deliver that ball, you know what I mean? And if he had to do it again on the very next play, it's maybe he needs a playoff, maybe he needs it to be a handoff, so he can kind of deal with the pain and then get back to it. And it's those are things that when you're healthy, you don't have to think about. You don't have to navigate those waters of a game of damn, I need a break. I just got rocked. Please let this be a run play when I hear it called in. Those are the things that go through your mind of oh shit, it's 3rd and 8. God, it's dropped back. The DNs are going to pin their ears back versus 3rd and 2. You can probably have more quick game. I'm probably not going to get hit. And so those are things you start to think about when you're hurt versus you don't think about that if you're not hurt. You're just playing
So Kurt, so for example, in that scenario, because this came up with Antonio Brown and stuff like that. I'm curious, you watch Herbert go out there and he obviously still is able, yes, he's hesitant a little bit more and it's definitely hurting him and might not be making things any better. It doesn't feel good. But when you're there, at what point does it become the coach's decision, over the player's decision? Or does it kind of come down to the player going, listen, I'm good, unless it's a concussion or something, when a player says no, listen, I'm going in and I'm playing.
I think it's all situation by situation. It's probably mostly on the player unless it's a head injury. Sometimes if it's an ankle or a knee or something like that, then it's more on the training staff. But I think the coach, it's typically from training staff coordinating with the player, and then they just tell the coach what's going on. It's not really the coach saying hey, I need that guy. It's the deliberation between the player and the training staff, and then they just say yeah or no to the coach who's available. And so you hear that a lot with running backs and receivers, and they end up, a lot of them play on special teams. So the trainers will go directly to the special teams coach hey, so and so's down, can't play. All right, so then they know who's next up in that specific spot for the units. It's not the coach's decision, but I'd imagine they have, if it's a halftime thing and you're talking about it, hey, can you go? I'm sure they try to persuade.
Yeah, I want to change directions here, if that's all right.
Do it. It's GPS. Every direction is
to a
right.
new direction. Because I titled this episode "Herbert Better Than Mahomes." I tried to do the just greater than sign, but apparently you can't do that on YouTube. You can't even have the greater than sign in the comments. So last night, I thought Justin Herbert played better than Patrick Mahomes, but the Chargers still lost because Herbert's on the Chargers. That's just the way it goes. And I wanted to ask you, one, if you were starting a team and you could have Herbert or Mahomes, who you going with? And two, the internet likes to overreact every time Patrick Mahomes makes a throw. And he did a little 7-yard sidearm throw that personally I was not impressed by. As somebody who can throw a 7-yard sidearm throw, I'm like, this is not that crazy, but Mahomes gets the credit because he's done so much crazy shit before. So the second question is how impressed were you with that throw? And then who would you take?
I think those types of throws, they're impressive, but how impressive? I don't think any. I think throws that are down the field, pinpoint accurate, up and over and dropping before someone, those are the impressive ones. Over fingertip and then right before somebody's getting hit, those are the ones that you can't those are hard, right?
Yeah, and Mahomes did that 2 quarters later. He threw a dime down the middle.
Oh, that
of
was
the field.
beautiful.
Yeah.
I think
that's impressive.
The Charger might have even touched the ball.
Yeah, but those are impressive. That to me, because anybody can maneuver. Any good quarterback can maneuver a ball with his arm angle. It's especially 7 yards away. But back to the other question, if I'm starting a team, the two guys that I'm going at for the next 10 to 15 years for quarterback are Josh Allen or Justin Herbert. That style of play, Mahomes is really good and he's athletic, but the way that the game is going, you also want this big ass dude that can run. That's a whole different value add that I don't know. It's important, obviously. That's why Josh Allen's getting paid so much. Herbert's going to get paid a lot. But that extra dynamic of this dude can tuck it and run you over. That is a whole different ball game that that's not Pat's game. He'll never do that. That's not.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he'll run somebody over, but that's not his frame. And I think that's really valuable. And I do think Herbert has crazy arm talent. He's a lot of tools that he's building on and developing as a player. But just as far as ceiling of total package of athlete, that's why people loved Cam Newton when he was younger, because he could do these things that not many people could. His arm wasn't the same as Josh or Justin.
Ready?
Yo, man, I hated doing that shit in practice on scout team. Oh my God. It was so bad.
It's super fun. Well, I mean, it's funny because Matthew Stafford has been doing no look passes forever, right? But he was on the Lions, so no one gave a crap until last year when they're oh, wait a minute, he's actually pretty good. He does this on a consistent basis. So I think Mahomes, and listen, Mahomes is a fantastic quarterback. Don't get me wrong. I think he is
one of the best in the league.
Yeah. I also think there was definitely some good fortune with some of those interceptions that were called back because there was multiple of them last night. And I think that this game starts to ask the question about the AFC West. Heading into the season, they were far and away considered the best division out there. I mean, after what we've seen from week 1, and now you see two of the main teams face off. I mean, do we think that's still the case? Hey, Brandon, how do you feel about that, buddy?
Yeah, that I think the Chargers got robbed. I've rewatched that Bryce Callahan pass interference play or illegal contact play several times now. It's wrong. It's incorrect. Should have been an interception. Mahomes threw 2 picks that didn't count. So I saw this stat about him. It was him, Lamar Jackson, and him. 7 touchdowns through their first 2 games, no interceptions. Well, this is kind of one of those things where he kind of did have 2 picks, but we'll forget about it in a couple weeks.
At the end of the year,
got a little bit lucky to get that win. And I thought the Chargers early on did a good job of pressuring Mahomes. And then that kind of faded as the game went away. And then that's why the Chiefs were really able to get going, because early on he was having to throw balls away that normally he doesn't. Didn't have Tyreek Hill open every play. I thought if Tyreek Hill was in that game, maybe the Chiefs had more success early. But I think the AFC West is still going to be really good. I think a lot of teams are still just figuring out who they are right now. And a short week, a division game on week 2, that's not easy. That is not easy for either of those teams. And the Chargers let it slip away in Arrowhead, which I guess I didn't even realize. They would have won 3 in a row at Arrowhead had they won that game. So I'm not worried. I mean, look, I don't want to. I thought both of those teams last night, for me personally, looked beatable. And I was scared that they weren't going to look that way. I have a little bit more confidence in my team, the Broncos. Maybe it's false confidence at this point. I don't know yet. But I'm like, I think we could hang with these teams. I don't know, like, ultimately it's going to be, 4-0 wins against the Chargers and the Chiefs, but they're not perfect.
I think that there's not an AFC West team that like looks like a complete team to me so far. And obviously it's early in the season, but like if you looked at like the NFC West of old, like when every team was stacked and like, damn, every one of these teams, like they're just going to beat the shit out of each other all year long. And we'll see who the best team is that's going to go to the NFC Championship and then maybe the Super Bowl. Like, I don't think the AFC West looks like that. They're all really good teams in their own sense, but it's going to be a long year and a lot of things to figure out. But they're not, from what I could tell, complete teams just yet.
How impressed are you with like Mike Williams? I feel like he's one of the most underrated receivers. Where just throw in the ball and he's going to catch it.
Nobody talks about him either. Like they gave him a
Keenan Allen attention. Like he's a stud. Like, and that's again like the Chargers are sneaky good at receiver because they don't have like the biggest name guys, but they're so good. Mike Williams can catch anything he throws away. Keenan Allen creates crazy separation, is always open. And then obviously like Austin Eckler, it's just a lightning bolt back there. So. They have a unique offense, but it's not like in the limelight.
Well, speaking of their offense, you saw the Chargers definitely do things a little bit differently. Like now Twitter's all talking about how like maybe they were a little bit more conservative last night because like last year
Staley's balls.
Yeah, they were going for it. It was like 4th and 16. Staley's like, let's go for it. Let's go. Let's do a draw to Eckler. But it was interesting because they were using 3 backs last night too. Like it wasn't the Eckler show. I really thought they were going to have to lean on Austin Eckler, but they were giving it a lot to like Sony Michel, Josh Kelly. Like they were kind of just utilizing all 3. And I'm wondering if like maybe they just don't want Eckler to be the workhorse anymore, because if you have Keenan Allen out, I knew Mike Williams was obviously going to get it, but Palmer was another guy who was like constantly targeted last night.
Yeah, I think that's got to be a workload thing. They're probably trying to conserve him for the entire year because I mean, he's the most electric guy on their offense in my opinion. Like when Austin Eckler's at his best, like dude is crazy.
He's crazy.
And so I don't know what the deal was there, but maybe he's dealing with something like that you don't really know about. I don't know. But when he's at his game, like just get the ball in his hands as many times as you can.
Yeah, I would say so. To change direction even further, do want to talk about for a hot second. So it was released. Mr. Kurt Benkert, after doing a workout with the Chicago Bears, then you decided to go to the San Francisco 49ers and had that workout. So how'd that one go, bud?
That was awesome. Sad for you to hear. It was awesome. But anyways, it was good. The travel was obviously insane. I got a call on Monday at around 1. I was at the beach. I was actually surfing at the beach, and then they called me, and my agent was like, "Hey, what's the quickest flight you can make?" And I said, "Well, you let me know, like what flights are available." I was at the airport in 6 hours, flying to San Francisco. I got in late that night, had the workout and physicals and all that stuff the next day. Crushed it. Had some really good reviews from them. They were like, "So what was the deal? Why'd you get released from the Packers? Like, you look great, dude." I don't know, man. You tell me. So that was kind of part of it. They obviously have some unique things going on in their little quarterback world. So just kind of on their list of guys they're vetting out, and we'll see what happens as the year shakes out. But I kind of am in that situation with a few teams where like, who knows if the starter gets injured? Like, who knows what happens throughout the course of the year? But like, I fit in these offenses. They like what I can do. But the timing right now is like they're not just gonna sign me just to sign me.
Sure.
But it's more of a vetting process. And then I was back on a red eye that night, and I was around the world in 80 days?
Yeah.
Like, I felt like I was around the world in 30 hours.
Well, so as soon as Dak Prescott got injured, on Sunday night, my chat exploded. They were like, Kurt to Dallas. Like my dad, who was sitting next to me, was just like, call up Kurt. And immediately, and then like that whole rumor mill started. And I kind of want to ask you, because this is just, obviously we don't have like the in for it, but Dak gets injured. It's his throwing hand, right? So he messes up his thumb. They originally say it's going to be like, what did they say, 6 to 8 weeks? Like something like that. It was going to be a crazy amount of time. But then they're like, oh no, it's not even going to be 4 weeks. And we're not even going to put him on IR.
Dude, it's
like, how?
I don't even want to talk about it, but I'll say a little bit. It's just like, that's your guy. Like, that's not just your guy. That's like your franchise.
Yeah.
And you also know that like things are getting real hot in Dallas. Like you need your guy, but you also need your guy in December and January.
Yeah.
And I don't know, if I just had surgery on my hand, if they just cut open my throwing hand, I'm thinking like, one, it's going to take like time to get feeling back in it. Yeah. And then 2, it's like be able to grip something to where I feel like confident. And then 3, to like pinpoint place a ball with a hand that I just had cut open, surgically repaired. That's like 3 weeks. Like really through like
just figure out how to hold the football without your thumb.
Like, is Dak gonna learn how to throw left-handed?
Yeah, he's gonna pull a Tua.
Is he gonna learn how to go throw left-handed like in the next 4 weeks? But seriously, I'm like, I don't know what that
timeline just doesn't make sense. Like because it's not like, hey, it's your other hand, which would still be difficult to deal with because you got to like snap the ball and all that great stuff. But maybe you could be able to get through. But like that's your thumb. And Kurt, this might be a hot take, and I know I'm not an NFL quarterback, but I have heard that you do need your thumb in order to be a quarterback and throw the ball.
You do. Like you need that thumb, and it's important. Just like you need your big toes; those are important. Like I don't know what they're gonna do. When is their bye week? Do we even have? Can we fact check when their bye week is?
I think it's 9. I think it is.
I just know like there were already
week 10.
Oh God.
So it is 9. Yeah, it's week 9. Damn, I knew that. All right, good.
I just know that there was a lot of hot seat talks early in the year before the season even started. Like, hey, playoffs or
bye, Mike.
Everyone's dead, and I don't know. I think also for the one team in the NFL that doesn't have a backup quarterback on their active roster, like I just think there are so many question marks there. Like they have 2 backups on practice squad that they flex up. They don't have one signed to the 53. They probably just signed them now.
Yeah.
But like, I just think there's a lot of like questionable. Like I don't know. I would love to be a fly on the wall and hear the reasoning on a lot of it. But
like, is it just like smoke to be like, hey? I mean, because we saw this with the Cowboys on Hard Knocks last year. Because Jerry was just like, hey, when's Dak gonna play? Like, let's go.
Yeah, because he had the shoulder thing, right?
Yep. And McCarthy was just like, well, we're taking our time. And that was going on through all offseason. They're like, when's he gonna practice? Is he gonna do in the preseason? And there was kind of like that push from Jerry that was going on. So like, I don't know if it's all theatrics, like smoke to be like, hey, the problem's really not that bad.
Like I mean, clicks and impressions and like increased value of social media and stuff for your franchise. I don't know. Maybe there's other things at stake. Maybe there's going to be a thumb insurance sponsor that comes in and just, you never know what's at play. But I will say, I don't know how he's going to play in 3 weeks. I don't know how he's going to play in 6 to 8 weeks. And from that, like the only benefit for him to not have to sit out is to be able to participate in practice and move his legs in situations and QB drills. And like, but again, even like after surgery, you're not supposed to do anything physical for like, you're not supposed to sweat. Like you're not supposed to like, I don't know. I've had surgeries and I'm like, you couldn't have caught me on the field in 10 days. Like that's for sure. And I know it's just a thumb, but like, I don't know.
I think this is Russell Wilson playing 4D chess. Last year, he returns 3 weeks after his finger surgery with tendons. And now every quarterback has to meet those same expectations. And Russ is like, it is not going to work. And while they all crumble, I shall lead my team to the promised land.
Yep. Russ was thinking about the future.
Always.
Last year, he threw Seattle under the bus, tanked the season with the thumb, to then double tank another season and set a bad standard.
Yep, horrible standard. I heard like the Seahawks did not want him to come back yet, and he was like, "I'm coming back."
And then he got shut out by the Packers.
God will guide my hand. I do not need your medical advice.
Yeah.
Another interesting thing I saw in this game. So Herbert throws a pick six, right? And at first it looks like he made a mistake, and then we see the replay, and it's like, oh, Gerald Everett was really tired, and he just didn't even really try on that play.
I think after the defender's like,
I have so much to say on that.
Like, I wanted to get your thoughts because there's a lot of people defending Herbert there, which I get, and a lot of people giving Gerald Everett a pass for being tired. I'm like, well, maybe he should be doing some more conditioning this week so that doesn't happen. Like, I get he tried to come out of the game. They couldn't sub him because they're running hurry up. And I understand, like, that's what you do, but I just wanted your thoughts.
Okay, so are we able to pull that up at all? I mean, is that
broke down this right on Twitter? I think you broke it down.
So I just don't know if we're allowed to have the video up, but probably not.
It would just be the all 22.
So basically what happened was they're down on the play clock, and so it's a mirrored formation, like both stacks, and the running backs on the left side. For some reason, they had 2 jet called, which makes the running back's initial responsibilities blocking on the right side. But keep in mind, he's lined up on the left. So if you have any pressure from the right, like, it's okay. Like, they can pick it up. If you have immediate pressure from the right, that's a problem because he has to cross in front of the quarterback to get there. And if it's not from depth, then you're going to be warm, we call it. You're not hot. Like, you have a body for him, but you're warm. And so that was like number 1. So they're down on the play clock. Herbert sees the guy creep up. And he's like, oh, shoot. Like, I know that my problem is that Eckler probably can't get there in time to, like, actually block him. So he's got stick combination on the right. The tight end straight to the flat. It was a shitty route. But, like, that's not your hot answer. That's a throwaway answer. You throw it over his head. You're never going to beat, like, the flat route on that. So his hot answer is the stick route that has to break out if he's matched. If it's zone, he can sit up. So, like, there was a bunch of, like, messed up stuff there with the receivers, but also Herbert, he's supposed to take a 1-step drop because it's quick game out of gun. He feels pressure. He takes a 3-step drop, so he's late to either the flat or the stick. And so this all big cluster of, like, crap all came together at the same time. And if he would have just thrown it to the stick instead of the flat route, probably would have been a touchdown, at least would have been an incompletion. But he, like, panicked and tried to make a play to the flat when that's not his place to make a play. That's like you out leverage and you score, or you throw it over his head. So if Herbert just was able to get maybe the play call in sooner, maybe that's where it came from because he's down on the play clock. He could have fixed the protection. He wouldn't have been hot. Then he could have read it out. But also with his feet being 3-step versus 1-step from the gun, he's late to any throw, so he can't, like, hesitate and double clutch. So it's like this whole, like, everything was wrong. They were rushing. People were tired, and, like, one split decision was a pick 6 versus a touchdown or an incompletion.
Dang. Also, if he would have had Gronk, would have helped.
Yeah, that helps too.
He doesn't have to run a route. You just throw it.
It's like,
yeah, just throw it in his direction. And I don't know if you saw, like, the flat route. He, like, ran. He saw he was covered. He stopped, and then he was like, oh, man. Kept running. He saw Herbert, like, in a panic drop when he turned back, and I think he thought it was scramble drill rules. So, like, if you know the timing of a stick route, it's left, right, balls out. He looks, he doesn't have the ball. Oh, shoot, I see Justin, like, kind of fading away. Maybe he's getting into scramble. I'm going to, oh, shoot, go. And then his next rule is, like, he goes flat, he goes up, and then back to the front pylon. Like, that's how that plays out. But Herbert's timing was wrong on the quick game concept. So, like, there was no, like, feel. Like, everyone was on different pages.
So my initial thought that Herbert messed up is correct.
Herbert messed up, but he, like, I don't think the tight end's really at fault. Like, yeah, he could have been more decisive, but it was like, oh, I thought you were going to do this type of thing. If Herbert, at the same time that he lets go of the ball, he's already late. If he just lets go to the stick route in a better off placement, it might be a fall and touchdown. But it should like, you can't throw to flats late, and you can't miss flats inside. Like, it was all he made matters worse. But again, like, that's like he's typically really good in those situations. It's loud in Arrowhead. Like you're on the 2-yard line, the clock's running down. You're all tired. Sorry for language. You're all tired. Like it all adds up to this. Holy crap! A 99-yard pick six, and that's the game. Like that literally was the game in this little messed up tornado of communication.
Yeah.
I mean, it literally cost them the whole game. I mean, again,
yeah,
like you talk about the momentum shifts because Arrowhead being as hostile as it is, and it's great. I mean, you've heard it, Kurt. I mean, like it's a loud place to play. You know, you kind of can't give them an inch, and if you're able to take the crowd out of it like a little bit, that helps. But once they start getting that momentum back, like it's going to be real tough to kind of turn the tides.
Yeah, and that's their defense too. Like they're feast or famine kind of. Like they do some sketchy blitzes, they do some sketchy coverages, hoping to make you make a mistake, or like they try to make you hesitant. Like not making a sharp decision is worse than like making late decisions, in my opinion. Like you can be a good quarterback in the NFL, making bad decisions if you're just decisive about it. Like you'll get away with not throwing interceptions because you just let go of the ball in time. Maybe to the wrong place, but like most, even like good throws, if you're late on a good throw or a good decision, it's an interception.
Yeah.
And so that just, that he'll remember that one.
I want to get back to that because I have a question about Russell Wilson. But that pick did give us the first feel-good Watson story of the year. And that is Jalen Watson, who took it to the house. 7th round draft pick this year, comes in, gets a key pick six against Justin Herbert. It was like the game-changing play. This is just a little brief outline of his story to get to the NFL. But like, as much as I hate to give the Chiefs credit, I thought that was pretty cool. Like, you don't see like 7th round guys get to make a play like that in a game that big in prime time. And I was like, I'd never heard of that guy. And I was like, holy shit, it reminded me of James Harrison's play in the Super Bowl.
Oh, God. Yep.
Like we knew who James Harrison was, but like it was just his career. Like after that, it was always like defined by that moment. And I'm not saying that will definitely happen here, but just a cool moment for a guy I think really just earned like that spot. But where I was going to go after that is, did you watch the Monday night Broncos game?
I was on a flight and I watched as much as I could. I think I watched the first half.
Because we already talked about it a lot, but like,
tell me more.
If you didn't
watch,
like,
I just want optimism. I want hope. I want you to break it down and be like, it wasn't Russ's fault. He wants a Goodwill Hunting moment. Like, it's not your fault.
The one thing I thought was like, because I thought Russ was fine once he kind of got settled. He did miss some deep throws that I think he hits when he's not playing against his home crowd, and I feel like the jitters got him. But one thing I noticed, it felt like he was taking a bit longer to make decisions on throwing than I would have expected. I was just going to see if like you noticed anything about his decisiveness in that game. But if you didn't like watch it, it's probably not something that, stood out.
The first half, and then I watched like some of the highlights, obviously, and then I watched the ending of the game on a million times over on ESPN. But I would say like it looked like they were like being really safe with how the offense was running early on, and they were doing a lot of play action, a lot of boots, plays that you didn't necessarily need to read out from the pocket. And my initial thought was like maybe they're just trying to mix it up, get the running game going, like not make this about Russ. And at some point, like that game has to be about Russ. Like it just, when you have that guy that's getting paid that, like, I don't think there's any situation that it can't be about him. Like, that's just, I don't know. That's my opinion, but they had, their offense was rolling. Like they were being efficient, like early on, like they were running the ball. All their toss cracks were working. Their play action was easy. Like they got some explosive off of keepers and stuff. So like that style of their offense was good. It looked like when it got to like the drop back and like in the pocket stuff, like he was slightly hesitant. And I don't know if that's in a new system with new concepts. Cause like when I first got to Green Bay, concepts were kind of like wonky a little bit. Like there was a lot of people in the same area, but over time you realize like why it's being called a certain way. And like, I'm not saying like he's probably so prepared and so over prepared, but it's still, you get into a live situation like that in a regular season game And maybe you have to think a little more than in practice because it's not just ingrained into you yet. Like that just takes time. It's hard to get into a new system year one and like it all blend together. I was actually talking to two guys that they were on a workout with the Bears when I went, and they were in Denver. And what they were telling me is that the offense is like a big hodgepodge of like all three offenses from the OC's background, the head coach's background, and what Russ wants. And so just off of like volume alone, they were saying it was absolutely wild. And so that could be like a lot to it. And if you try to blend too much together, like what philosophies are being crossed over, like if you like for third downs, right? That's a big part of the game. When you're a first or second string quarterback, you present your third down list to the head coach. So maybe there's 15 third down plays or 20 total, depending on like 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3 to 5, 3rd and 6 to 8, whatever. Like they're broken down. Like out of that 20 plays, the first string quarterback gives his plays that he likes from it for if he's in the game. The second string quarterback gives what he likes to the coach if the second string were to go in the game. So like the menu of plays that can be called is like cut in half basically depending on who's in the game. It's like a precaution thing. And so who knows what Russ may have been really comfortable with in practice that when he got to the game, like I didn't like it against this defense versus how our defense runs, or like things look different. So that can create hesitancy. So there's just there's so much to it. And I'm thinking my first thoughts are new offense, probably a lot of plays in there, maybe like some hesitancy.
Right.
And I bet they're going back to next week and saying, okay, this worked well. We're going to keep this run game, this package, this play action keeper. Like that was a good package, but like, let's iron out, like, what do we want from the drop back game? What does that want to look like for us? And so we can just go and play fast.
So you're saying it was like, from what you heard, it's a mix of what Hackett wants, what Wilson wants, and what Justin Outen wants, right?
Is there one other person besides Outen there? Because they didn't say names. Is there another offensive guys? They're like an offensive like an assistant or someone with a different offensive background there. I didn't get names, but I know it's Hackett and Russ. And then there's like one other person that like has some of the things they brought to the table too. So I don't know who that person is. Oh my God,
there's a guy named Zach Grossi. Zach Grossi is on the roster. Is that Tom's brother?
Dad? Papa? Said he went to go get cigarettes.
Yeah, I mean, even like when you look at the Packers, like their first year with LaFleur and Aaron, right? Like,
I bet it's Clint Kubiak. Sorry, I bet it's Clint Kubiak.
It's probably
He's
Kubiak.
The passing game coordinator.
Yeah, exactly. So perfect.
It felt early on like Kubiak's and Shanahan's offense with the rollouts, the boots, I was like, oh, we're running 97 Broncos offense right here, and I kind of like it. So
it looked good, man. Like until they got to the red zone, right?
Yeah.
Like when they got to the low red zone, it looked like a different offense. So they'll iron that out. Like it's week 1, right? But they have the pieces in place to make that offense look good, and their process is pretty good. But I think they just need to like find their identity of like, let's like narrow the focus. Like, who is this? Like, what is this offense going to be? Where it looked like, I don't know, depending on the situation, it might be this version. Like,
yeah. Kurt, before we jump into some of the week 2 games, I kind of wanted to get your specific take on it because it's week 1. All the overreactions are in. Like you look at guys like Joe Burrow, right? Has a whole bunch of turnovers, had 5 turnovers on the day. You look at like the Patriots offense, like they really, really struggled to kind of like cut through some of the noise. Is there like a particular like quarterback, or is there a team that you look at and go, all right, maybe they should worry a bit? Because like you do have like the Packers. I mean, listen, we had last year week 1. That wasn't a fun time, and neither was this week. So is there any team that you're like, I'm not going to say it's over yet because it is just week 1, but like that one, maybe there's a little bit more cause for concern than we originally thought?
I never really look at it from that lens. So let me pull up all the teams and I'm going to go through and be like,
good sir, you called out the Texans and Colts game, and that turned out to be an insane game. I'm pretty sure you said Bengals and Steelers too, which turned out to be a very drunk game. Like that was absolutely wild. Because like Perna and I are very much on the same page. Like we think the Bengals are going to be fine. Burrow, had some just bad plays. Like it didn't look good. It is just week 1. He also then just went into the mode of screw it. Jamar Chase is down there somewhere, and I'm just going to throw the ball up to him.
Yeah.
I mean, I just want to see, like, from your perspective, if there was one, it was like, ooh, didn't expect them to look like that.
Yeah, like I wouldn't even. No team this week looked like just terrible, terrible. I'm most concerned about the Steelers' offense, because you
Suck it,
have
tree.
5 turnovers caused on defense, maybe 6. I don't even know. Maybe 7. I don't even know. It was a lot of turnovers to only have the amount of points that they had. It's like, wow, the Bengals should have never been in that game, just statistically speaking. Like, that is like, you'll probably never see that again. So, what does that offense look like if it's like a +1 turnover game? Like, you know what I mean? And that was the biggest red flag from last week for me, is like, oh man, there's gonna be things ruined. Like yeah, they won the game, right? Like, but
Trubisky by week 4. That's my prediction.
Like, they just couldn't
I
move
mean,
the ball.
Pickett, sorry.
Pickett. Yeah.
and the
By
one
week
thing is
4.
like Trubisky like made some nice throws. Like, he had some sweet back shoulders. It's just like, you would just I don't even know if I don't know if it's him. Like, I didn't watch the full game, but like,
Yeah.
I'm looking at this like there's something there. Like, they need somebody to step up offensively, and if it's not Mitch, it's got to be like somebody. They need to find an identity.
Yeah.
But again, and especially now with TJ Watt out, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, like,
Yeah,
we'll see what that looks like. The other one, I don't know. Like, I think the Lions aren't going to be terrible. Like,
they shouldn't be.
Like, they shouldn't be terrible. And I think same thing with like the Eagles, right? Like, I'm excited to see what do the Eagles do this week, because this is going to say, like, what does this team look like for this year? Because Minnesota's
against the
a damn
Vikings.
good. Like,
Yep.
I think Minnesota is one of the most complete teams in the NFL right now. And if you look at, I'm sorry, they are. But
Shut up, Brandon. You lost
Yeah.
to the Seahawks. You don't get to laugh. There's no giggles, okay? You lost to Geno Smith, all right? Sorry.
yeah, I see Dallas in chat too. Like, that's a.
Dallas is screwed.
I probably
Dallas
shouldn't
is
even.
so screwed.
I didn't even need to go there because that's an interesting one. But I just, again, like, these teams that don't have identities necessarily, it's like, all right, better find one quick, because
Yeah.
the season's gonna keep rolling with or without you. So
Yeah.
and back to the Packers too. Like, you saw last year, Justin Jefferson gave them fits, and it was a lot of like sticking to scheme on defense.
Yep.
And I saw obviously the comments come out about Jair, and like, that's
Yep.
not his call to be playing in man. Like, and I know how that defense works. I know like their philosophy, and when that defense has everybody playing as a unit, like, that scheme is really, really hard to stop.
Yeah.
But if one person's out of, like, not passing off or communicating, or like that is a very, like, you need all 11 on the same page, then that defense is a monster. But if they're not doing it like that, then, and it's that kind of game, like, you need to kind of switch it up, play man, and see if your guys are better than the others. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to see, like, how does the Packers season play out this year. Like, obviously, like, I loved my time there, but being able to watch from the outside, I'm like, okay, like, let's see what answers they come up with across the board, because there's a lot of questions that they have to. Last year's week 1 loss was like, damn, we didn't play well. We have really good players, and we know we have really good players that have proven themselves. This year's week 1 loss is like, we have a really good players on defense. Offense has a lot of question marks of who's going to step up. It's a different week 1 loss than it was last year.
Yeah.
But you still have Aaron Rodgers, so anything can happen.
It's very true. I mean, dude, like, that's the thing too. Christian Watson, his first play could have been a 75-yard touchdown, and
changes everything. Momentum, like
so
confidence.
But that's what I said. So, like, it reminded me of like when Big Dog fumbled in the divisional round, because like they were moving, and then it just sucks the air out. And I mean, I don't know how much you can speak on this, but I did a whole rant about this on Sunday. It's that under LaFleur, if there's one thing that I definitely can point at and say, like, this is a consistent problem that I see, it's that when there's adversity and it's like you get punched in the mouth, immediately it's like kind of like get away from the game plan, and it kind of looks like it's desperation mode, because you did have like AJ Dillon was a leading receiver on Sunday, but like you had AJ Dillon, Aaron Jones, who were finding running lanes. They were being successful. I know that, Jenkins is out, which doesn't help. Bakhtiari's still out, doesn't help. But it just seems that if you go down early, there doesn't seem to be a lot of fight that's there, and it just seems like it gets out of hand quickly in some of those games.
I would argue that, and this is just like my opinion, I would argue that the problem may be that getting down early is the answer for that is like we just got to stick to our game plan and like do it better versus like, all right, maybe we need to like up the tempo a little bit, or like maybe we need to bite back a little bit, or whatever that may look like. I don't know. That's from the outside looking in. That is my perspective of like, okay, like the other offense is rolling, they're doing whatever they want at will, and we're still like inching our way down the field versus like. And again, like it's tough to get explosive plays in the NFL, but as soon as you start finding one, it seems like more of them start finding it. Like you have to find the first one, and I don't think that happened.
No.
Like so, Christian, he got open on the first play. If that touchdown happens, maybe there's like 3 or 4 more explosive plays that happen because the mentality on defense is like, shoot, already let up one, can't let up another. Like. They start getting softer. There's easy 10-yard completions here and there that you break a tackle, it goes for 15. Like all of these pieces of the game add up, and it can change like that. Just like you talked about Big Dog's fumble last year, like kind of puts you in your shell. And then there's a dropped third down conversion, and it's like, oh shoot, well now we just, you know what I mean? Like things add up in the NFL. They do.
Well, I mean,
I'll just say that's kind of like you were talking earlier, like how the Chiefs defense is able to be so aggressive. Is they're usually playing with a lead and playing with that early. So you can take those chances on defense. Yeah. It's something like, as a Broncos fan, I've watched the reverse of. Like, we've kept games close, but the defense couldn't be as aggressive as like we were used to seeing in terms of bringing extra blitzers on edge rushes or, you know, taking chances in the secondary. Like, if you have an offense who can get that lead, then you can do that on defense. Yeah. And I think Green Bay probably operates the same way. They're used to getting out to quick starts, having a lead or two. And that's why like the defense last year was so much fun to watch. It's like, oh yeah, let's just get after it and make some dynamic plays. Because if you give up one, you have the confidence that your offense is going to make it up like a series later.
Yeah. Dude, that was the Chiefs last night too, because they were struggling, and then it took one drive, then like Mahomes just hitting, and it was a touchdown. It looked like it took like 2 minutes.
It looked like different teams, like 2 different Chiefs teams, and I think that is the way that the Green Bay team, offense, defense, special team, how it's all built together is very methodical. It's not like the big explosives; those are like occasional, but it's not looking for those. The philosophies that you fall into those by running your stuff. Like you do your thing, you do your thing, 10, 5, 6, whatever. Then a 15 rips off, and then a 25, then a 30. Like that stuff happens versus maybe it's not so much as dialing it up. There are plays that are dialed up to be home runs. Yeah. But that is not what the offensive philosophy is. It's like, we're going to be efficient. We're going to take care of the ball. We're going to control the clock. We're going to bleed you to death. And our defense isn't going to get big plays. It's going to be bend but don't break, and you're going to make mistakes before we do, and then you're going to be playing from behind. And like that's the philosophy. That's why we won so many close games last year. Yeah. Where if you get down early in those games, then it's like maybe the philosophy isn't built to come back from 14 and still be able to win by 10, by 14. You're going to be coming back from 14 with how it's built to win by a field goal. Like that's kind of how it's built. And so it wins you games, but it also makes games closer. Where like the Chiefs will blow out anybody, but they also might get blown out by anybody. Like who knows, right? They have a better teams typically, but they blow out or win by a decent bit to most teams they play. But I would say like the downside of their team could be higher because it's big risk, big reward.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's how the Packers used to operate too. I mean, like when you had like the Mike McCarthy offense, especially you look at games in like 2011 and stuff like that, it was just so pass happy, like big play. That was it, you know, and it is. I mean, a lot has changed in a decade plus. So yeah, just something I was looking at. Perna, do you want to say something before we jump into week 2?
Yes.
I saw it on your face.
Kurt, do you think shovel pass should count as a touchdown pass?
No.
Yes! No. That's coming from a quarterback, ladies and gentlemen.
Russell Wilson's going to throw a shuffle pass touchdown, and you're going to be like,
Patrick Mahomes would have a lot less. Yeah, it's just a weird thing to me that you can go like this, and it's like touchdown pass.
I think like
maybe a half. You get
I think anything that's caught within like the actual pocket, besides like a screen, like that's a run. Like it is if it's caught in if the ball is exchanged in the pocket, whether it's touched, passed, whatever, like like I don't know.
I
Like,
just
you
saw
don't
a stat
evaluate that guy on
Mahomes
film.
is on pace for 60 touchdown passes. I'm like, damn it.
Yeah.
I just don't want him to break Peyton Manning's record. And I think Andy Reid doesn't get enough credit for being the best play caller in the NFL. We always talk about McVay, Shanahan, LaFleur as well. It's like we forgot Andy Reid's pretty damn good as an offensive
for a long
play caller.
time with a lot of different quarterbacks.
Yeah, he's seen everything that you could possibly see at this point.
The cool thing is like every offense that he has is different.
It's totally different.
It's built around the guy. And that's the mark of a good coach, where like you can change your offense and build it to whoever that guy is, where like a lot of these other systems, they're just like, all right, this is my mold of a quarterback. Come on, this is our system. Whereas like, no, like we're gonna pick and pull all your good parts about you and build this perfect system for you that people haven't seen yet.
Like, that was my biggest thing when Mitch Trubisky was on the Bears. And I was like, this is why it's not necessarily a Trubisky problem, because Nagy just did not cater that offense to him. They did that under like a good run game and a solid defense when the double doink happened. But then like they got away from it and they were just like, oh no, like stay in the pocket and like, you know, never run. And they hurt for that. So
that's like what was kind of weird about the way the Steelers were using Trubisky week 1.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not sure they're going to call an offense that's playing to his strengths.
Because I don't even think that's the point, though. Like, that's what I mean. Like, I don't even think it's really his offense right now.
I hate that, man. Like, you just, like, do you not want to give your guy the best chance, right? Like, and I don't know. It's all comes down to philosophy. And that's just, like, my personal philosophy is my offense is going to look whatever it should look like for my quarterback. And then if my backup comes in and my offense has to look a little different, like, that's what it's going to look like. And that's, if you look back to like Lincoln Riley and what he's done, what he did with Oklahoma with Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, and now like what he's doing at USC, every offense is so different. Like they have similar philosophies, but like they cater that to people's strengths, and that's what the best coaches in the NFL are doing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think that like that's why Russ is out of Seattle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's why Fangio didn't work in Denver. It's like, you're going to play the way I like to do it.
The tough part is it takes you being a vet typically to like get that pull where like,
yes,
that's something I'm pretty happy that Baltimore has at least done with Lamar. Like they have built that offense to be like,
100%.
It's Lamar's offense. It's built for him. And so that's why they're backups too. They've gotten backups with similar builds so that the offense doesn't have to change crazy if you were to get hurt.
The Packers game last year. I mean, like it was basically like, you basically have like Lamar Light back there.
Yeah, Lamar like
I've talked about that.
Walmart Lamar.
Like,
no, but Hundley can play. He's a good player.
Hundley's good.
He's definitely not Walmart Lamar. He's like
no.
He's like Target brand, and Lamar would be like, I don't know. He'd be luxury.
I don't know if you saw earlier in the chat, people said you, Kurt, were the Target to me, Walmart. So I'm the Walmart brand of this show now.
You have a better.
So I will say I am like Tyler Huntley. Then I'll take that comparison.
You're Kurt Light.
I'm Kurt Light.
Kurt Light. KL. Gents, besides obviously, you know, our teams, any particular games that you're looking forward to at week 2? Just going, ooh, this is gonna be fun. I gotta say, Vikings-Eagles is gonna be very intriguing to me. I think that's gonna be a really fun game. I'm kind of pissed that the Titans and Bills are overlapping with that because I would love to watch both of those games and call both of them. But yeah, that Monday night game is gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's gonna be electric. You pull up my schedule.
Like, I don't think this is going to be a good game, Bengals-Cowboys, but I'm interested to see if the Bengals can actually protect Joe Burrow in this game. And they've got a huge challenge with Micah Parsons. So that, to me, will be interesting. I'm curious to see how the Rams play week 2. But I guess as much shit as I've talked this week about the Seahawks, about not being impressed with them, they're playing the 49ers. And I have not been this big of a 49ers fan for quite some time. So San Francisco, without I guess it might rain a little bit in this game, but without a monsoon, please show the world that I am correct in my assessment of the Seattle Seahawks and that they are overrated.
The salt mines are open, bud.
Like, they are.
Just they're over. I don't think there's a possible way to overrate the Seahawks. Like everyone, like how much crap did Geno Smith and Drew Lock get in this offseason going, this is the worst QB battle ever. They're going to be a joke. They might not win a game. And
they didn't get as much shit as Russell Wilson got this week. I'll tell you what.
I mean,
I'll tell you
because you lost to Geno Smith and the Seahawks.
But did he lose to them? Did he lose to them?
That's
did
true.
He fumble twice on the goal line? Did he drop a touchdown pass? Did his defense get flagged 12 times?
So you're saying it's Hackett's fault?
I'm saying a lot of weird stuff happened.
Like it was a full moon that night, you know.
If they played today, who would win?
Don't.
Broncos.
You know,
easy.
Can I get a let's ride?
No, wait. What are we? Scooter's gone, so is my punishment?
Oh, that punishment's there, baby. It's
I'm
there.
not gonna say it then.
Damn it! Wow, you won't even say it for Kurt. It's messed up.
Yeah.
Is it? I did love that line. Like that was such a badass line. They wrote me off, but I didn't write back. I was just
like Geno. I like Drew.
So my game that I'm most interested in is going to be the Packers-Bears game on Sunday Night Football, because the last time the Bears played the Packers on Sunday Night Football, I had white paint on my knee. And I won't be there this week, obviously. But that's a different Bears team than in past years, and this is a different Packers team than in past years. And Sunday Night Football brings out the best in people. So I'm excited to see it. I do think that the Packers will win. I am excited to see, like, what the hell does Justin Fields look like in a new offense, not in a monsoon, getting off of Noah's Ark in the flood.
Yep.
And what's that game going to look like? It's because that Packers defense versus like the style of offense, like that is a hard matchup for the Bears offense, I will say.
Yeah.
Like if the Packers offense play the Packers defense, it's a really hard matchup.
Yeah.
It's the defense has schematically the one up. So
that game should be good. Bucks Saints is always good.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's 3
I just
good
want to hear
games
Jameis.
all in the morning here. Dang it, where am I? Who am I? Yeah, Jets Dolphins. That's interesting because not just because the Dolphins defense looked so good week 1, but they ended Lamar Jackson, right? The Dolphins blitzed him a billion times.
Yeah.
Lions Commanders. We're high on the Lions. Commanders, I feel like maybe overperformed with Wentz week 1. And then Bucks Saints. Like, what's gonna happen in that game? There's a bunch of injuries right now that like are uncertain, but I'm curious to see those 3 morning games.
I just want to say Lions Commanders sounds like the worst like sounding looking game of all time.
Jaguars Commanders was worse, I think, from last week.
I'm just gonna say it. I hate the name Commanders.
Yeah.
Like
it's terrible.
Is it the longest name in the league?
It should be Washington Wildflowers, and that's it. Like there's no question about it. Like that's it.
Letters wise, it is the longest name.
Like maybe Buccaneers, but like that's Bucks. Like what are you gonna call them? The Coms?
The commies. They're the commies. 10
letters.
Perna, if the Broncos lose to the Texans on Sunday, is that full-blown panic mode?
Nah.
Okay.
Nope.
Where is that game being played?
In Denver. It's in Denver.
Yeah.
So maybe he could actually hit the 64-yard field goal then.
Did you guys see the comparison between the necks of last week's game?
The necks?
Davis Mills and I think it was Matt.
I didn't see the comparison. I just always make the comparison in my mind.
I don't know. He's definitely like I think he's like, what's the way he's played into that, like meme wise, like from what I can tell, like Davis Mills has just accepted
He's closer to God.
And that is like, if you have something like that going on and you can just accept it and roll with it, like,
oh yeah,
much respect.
Yeah.
And
that's how you turn it into a positive thing for yourself.
You brand yourself like, like that is you.
I'm a draft, baby.
Here's a hot take. I would take Davis Mills over Mac Jones.
I mean,
I would too.
Yeah.
When I saw Mac Jones on the top 100 list, I was like flabbergasted.
Yeah.
And Mac Jones, like he's a solid player, but like,
it's not
Like he was a
It's
rookie
more a
last
compliment to Davis Mills doing well in Houston than, Mac Jones not being good.
There you go. And there you go.
But yes, it's a big game for the Broncos. They're going to win. The things are going to go correctly this week.
What's your prediction score-wise?
30-20.
Done.
And one of those Texans touchdowns will be an accident.
Opinion on Jameis Winston.
Ooh, ask about Jameis.
I think I love Jameis Winston, first of all. 2, I wish he would talk more because I just want to listen. And 3,
every time he talks.
Okay, I have 4 things. 3, I went to a conference with him. Not with him. He was at a conference that I was at, and I played him in cornhole, and I waxed him. Like, waxed him.
Wow.
4 games. On the 4th game, I hit 4 straight in the hole.
Bro,
7.
you and I have to play cornhole against each other.
So he wouldn't let me leave and go to bed. He made me go to the ping pong table. Like, I'm saying it's late at night. It's like West Coast time. We're all exhausted. He would not let me leave until he beat me in a single match. And so we went from cornhole to ping pong. Anyways, that's my diversion.
Did he beat you in ping pong?
He beat me on the 3rd game, but I won't say that I let him win. I wanted to go to bed. But
you're saying I want to go to bed.
Yeah. Anyways, but Jameis Winston, if you take him and Fitzpatrick that 1 year and blend them into being one person and take away about 15 of his interceptions, he's the best single quarterback performance probably. Not of all time, but like it's high up there. Like he was one of the best quarterback years of all time if you blend those two together that year. Yeah. Jameis has a high ceiling. He's going to let it rip. If he can just like not do some of those things that Jameis does, like
his fourth quarter was amazing last week. I mean, like he's the reason they won that game. And plus like the Falcons let off a gas a bit and the Falcons, but yeah.
Same old song and dance, but
yep.
Jameis, like when Jameis is at his top, like dude is going to let it rip. And it looks like it's fun to watch. Like he's a guy that like if Jameis is on and it's crunch time, I'm probably going to turn on the TV and watch.
Kurt, I have a very important question for you. But last thing here, because if Perna is allowed to ask about shuffle passes, I had to ask about this. You were on the Atlanta Falcons. Okay. After the Super Bowl, after the consistent choke jobs, then you have week 1. There are people who are legitimately looking at the Falcons, including Falcons fans going, are we cursed?
Yes.
Now,
we talked about it in the locker room. I will say we talked about it as teammates, professionals. We called it the Michael Vick curse. And ever since the city turned its back on Mike Vick, the Falcons have been doomed to the deep, dark depths of football hell. And I think there needs to be a ceremony to welcome Vic back in with open arms and maybe put a statue up in front of Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Vic served his time.
Or
Daryl from The Office.
Or you just have to like win against Michael Vick in Madden 2004, like while he plays the Falcons and himself. That's because like we talk about like in a game, right? Like the micro thing, like of the building and building and building. Like at what point? I know it's different guys, new regimes come and go, but like at some point you'd be like, guys, is it the brand? Like is it
do we need new colors? Okay,
yeah.
I will say when I was with the Packers last year and we were down in a game, the mental was, all right, we're gonna find a way to win this game. We're just gonna win. The expectation was no matter what, we were gonna find a way to win. With the Falcons, you could literally feel it. Like, oh my God, it's happening again. Like it's happening. Like you literally can you're there and you just feel this overwhelm of like, guys, it's happening. And I don't know how to explain it. It was the wildest, like it was so wild, but it was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like when I was there in 2019 and even 2020, we found the wildest ways to lose games if we had won. Like we lost 5 games that year when we had at one point in time a 95% chance or more of winning, and we lost 4 or 5. Like that's a once in every 10 years type of thing. And there's got to be a ceremony or something. Like I don't know if it's like what is it, sage?
They need a sacrifice. They got to sacrifice.
Sacrifice.
Sacrificial. Like
they're gonna. Yeah, it's gonna be bad. And then we got one more about Derek Carr. Derek Carr, Some people are on the fence about this. I know Perna's interested in this one, but
well, he's playing the Cardinals this week, and
you should light him up.
I think he's going to look really good.
Devontae looked pretty damn good week 1. Good God, breaking ankles.
Derek Carr has a high ceiling, but he's so inconsistent, and so like, I don't know. We'll just have to see how it plays out. But he could be so good, and when he's really good, he's like really, really good. But some of his bad plays, you're like, is that it looks like a different player sometimes. Yeah. Like everybody has bad plays. Like, don't get me wrong. But like, if he could just, his staff, whatever, like all the collectively can find a way to get him playing at like his 80% best or more consistently, like he's one of the better guys in the league. But it's that like consistency factor. And that's every quarterback has to fight through that. And that's what typically separates like the good from the great and the elite. But like he has the ability to be elite. He just has to be more consistent.
And that's the bottom line because Kurt Benkert says so. Kurt, we appreciate you coming on and gracing us with your presence for another edition of GPS. Can you tell the people where they can find you and you do all the things that you do? That's the one. Easy. Links are in the description too. Go show Kurt some love. Going to be a lot more active on the YouTubes, and we're going to rock and we're going to roll. Perna, what you got coming out, bud?
Don't know.
Okay.
Don't know. Tell him happy birthday, Grossi. Happy birthday, Tom Grossi.
Thank you. I think that's all you're going to do. You're just going to upload a video that says happy birthday, Tom Grossi. Done.
Yep.
You're like, got my upload done for the day. Got a week 2 preview with a Bears fan coming out this afternoon, and then we're gonna do a little Friday night birthday Q&A, baby. We're gonna rock. We're gonna roll.
Tom is getting smashed tonight,
and there's gonna be cookies. I'm so happy. But folks, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you. We'll be back on a Monday. I'm Tom Grossi. That's Brandon Perna. That's Kurt Benkert. This is GPS, and you've been navigated.